Welcome your faces back to episode number 61 of the series Profit or Loss. I buy a bunch of random faulty electronic items from eBay, try to fix them and sell them back on eBay for a profit. As of recent weeks, as you can see, I've taken a little bit of a tumble, averaging a total loss of minus £220. Saying that, still in the green with £81.50. I vowed to myself not to get back into a negative balance. So I'm really hoping today we can make a good profit. So let's take a look at our first item. Here we have ourselves a faulty Nintendo Switch OLED that I purchased for a total of £95. I haven't done many Nintendo Switch OLEDs on the channel before, so I'm really hyped to see what the outcome is with this. Condition wise, really nice, like hardly a single scratch on the back, and the screen is in really good condition. The listing on eBay states good cosmetic condition, will not power on, doesn't appear to have been tampered with. If I manage to fix it, we should be looking at an okay profit. Now £95 is quite on the high side of these, but I've not done many on the channel and I thought it would be interesting. Now they've made a bold claim to say they don't think it's been tampered with, but oh dear. So this is the charging port and I'm looking at quite a bit of liquid damage on that port, if I'm honest with you, right down the back. Can you see it? All right, so this could be very interesting. For that reason and that reason alone, I'm not going to plug in an ammeter or attempt to give it a charge. I'm just going to take it down to bare bones and see how bad that liquid damage is. So I've quite literally just lifted up the flap like this, and the first thing I'm greeted with is this serial number, which looks like it is definitely been tampered with before. It's very loose and can easily peel off. So the listing is stating that they don't think anyone's been in it before. I'm not too sure about that one. Saying that, the stickers here don't look like they've been pulled off before, so maybe it hasn't been tampered with on the inside. Okay. First initial looks, pink water sticker indicator thing isn't pink. It's polka dot still, which means that water hasn't touched this, and we're looking pretty clean. That won't account for the underside of the board, which is what I'm going to take out now, but first impressions, I'm actually pretty happy. All right, board out of the chassis. Here we have the little shield for the port, which we can just take off. Just clips off like that. There we go. Do the other side as well. Just having a real quick look. To be honest, it looks all right. Take this sheath off as well, because that port, I think regardless, is going to have to be replaced. I mean, it doesn't look like, even in these parts here, there's not any liquid damage. This filter seems to be okay. Down here, might have maybe slight bit of corrosion, but nothing horrendous. Getting a real close up of the port now. Maybe the port is just a little bit fried. Can you see over here? It looks a little bit melted, right? Yeah. Maybe they've put a dodgy port in or something, but you can see at the back there, it's like melted plastic. I couldn't see that before. So let's do a couple of prodding tests, shall we? Starting off firstly, the fuse. Do we have a continuous path through it? Yeah, we do. Okay, so fuse is good. Indestructible fuse lives another day. I honestly find it so funny how like BQ or M92 will take a hit first before this fuse kills over. Let's check BQ whilst we're on this side. Again, multimeter in continuity mode. We're just going to prop around, see if we get any shorts. Doesn't look like it on BQ. Let's take a look at our next likely thing to go bang, which is M92 T36. Doesn't look like we have any shorts going into M92 T36. What about the big cap on P13? No, that also seems fine. Maybe it's just a port problem. I'll just check the max IC as well, just in case we're being a bit bamboozled here. This should just be low resistance, but that is showing short. Okay, that's 14, so that's fine. So this side here is ground. This side is actually where we have the low resistance of 14 ohms, which is, again, absolutely fine. That's ground. That's not shorted. That's not shorted. And that's not shorted. All right. Maybe it's just a case of getting this port off then and replacing it to see what's going on. The only liquid damage I can see is inside the port. Let's just really quickly check our fuel gauge. Make sure we don't have a short here. No, we don't. This is ground anyway. Both sides of this current sensor resistor. Okay. Sweet. Do I get continuity through this as well? Yeah, I do get continuity through this filter. That is a reminder, I do need to buy some more Switch light ports. This obviously being a Switch OLED, which I actually have plenty of. 450 degrees Celsius with an airflow speed of 50%. I'm not going to apply any flux here. I'm just going to heat the board up as much as I possibly can. Rotating that heat around so we don't burn anything that we don't need to. Once the solder's wet on everything, I'll then pull it off. There we go. Seems to be okay. Just double check and make sure we're alright to pull off. Yeah, feels fine. Okay. Beautiful. No rip traces, nothing like that. I'll have a look at that port a bit more in depth in a second. Now I am simply just going to use some V3 here and mix some leaded solder, that's all. The solder here isn't the issue, the port was. So using our Metcal, look at that, amazing, amazing iron. Considering the size of these ground pads, look how hot this iron gets to be able to melt it. Amazing. There we go. Finally, just mix the leaded here. There it is, as always. A nice clean up of the flux that we have on the board, because we do not need it. As always, tin the port, so put some flux on. Need some more flux, evidently. A cotton swab to get rid of that excess flux we have on the port. Tinned, ready for action. Now, tiny bits of flux. I'm just going to spread this out, make sure we have enough, but not too much. That's fine. That's cool. That's cool. Again, 50% airflow, 450 degrees Celsius. Heating that board from underneath. Now we have the leaded mixed with the unleaded, so that means that the melting temperature is going to be lower. So this shouldn't take, theoretically, as long as what it did before. You can see it just starting to go. And the top one. Yeah, nice. And now I'm going to place the port on. This is freehand, so it's a little bit shaky, but that's fine. We'll get it into place. There we go. That's now on the board. So I'm going to keep that heat applied. And now I'm just going to jig the port around a little bit. Give that solder a chance to bond with the actual port. Same with those pins at the back. They all look connected to me. Just going to hold down now and come off the hot air. Just keep held down. Wait for the solder to solidify. Which there it is. Lovely. And as I always recommend, the most important thing to do here is clean up as much flux as possible. Just to avoid any sort of connection issues. And whilst the board is hot, you'll find that flux is 10 times easier to clean up. Yeah, every single one looks soldered. Just give them a little poke as a test. And here's to hoping that underneath is also solid. Now you can see here that the screw hole isn't exactly in line with the port, but that is fine. The alignment is no problem at all. If it was completely out, then we'd have an issue, but that's going to sit in the chassis fine. Just to show you, look, if I put one of the screws in, no problems at all. See that? Before I go ahead and put this back in the chassis to test, I am going to use my little mechanic USB-C tester. This device is awesome, and it will list out a diode reading on all of the USB-C pins. So I'll take you under the scope for that because it will give you a better image. Turn that right down. Here we go. Turn on our tester. You can see it's on. Plug it in to our Switch OLED. And how are we looking? Do we have all green is the question. All green, look at that, both sides. Wicked. That is perfect. Fun fact, on a Nintendo Switch Lite, one of these, I think it's 17 and 8 or something, will actually be open line because they don't output to a TV. So there's no connection to P13. But this is looking really, really good. A key thing here is no shorts. Just out of interest here, I've got the mechanic tester and I've got just a normal port and I want to see if anything picks up. I don't think it will. I don't think it will register anything. No, it doesn't. So it doesn't say testing or anything like that. So I now wonder if I take the port that I had an issue with, which I have since cleaned out just because I didn't want to break this. I wonder if I get anything on here. So this is the faulty port. It says testing, look. Well, teasing. So what's going to pop up on the screen now then? Because this isn't connected to anything. Wow, so we have on pin 16, we got 0.07 in diode mode, and pin 15 is 0.92. So I wonder then if that indicates that there was a short on the port. Now I'm going to put it back in the chassis and see what we got. All right, just before I actually go ahead and fully reassemble the console, do we get a display? Come on, please. Here we go. 0.07. Yes. Okay, sweet. We have a display on the device, which means it's taking a charge and that the screen works, which is an absolute relief. 0.09, that will bump up. I'm going to put the console back together now, and then I'll confirm with you in a second whether it works or not. All right, good news with the Switch OLED. Everything works absolutely flawlessly. Display on TV, Wi-Fi, game cartridge. It's actually been reset already and ready to sell. So that is a result. But the question I keep asking myself is, can we make it 2 for 2 in today's video? The jumpers even come off for this one. I paid a nice square £50 for this faulty Nintendo Switch. And again, if I'm being honest with you, great condition. Look at it, the screen. Fantastic. Really, really, really nice. Didn't actually check this with the other one until later on down the line, but we don't have a game. And do we have an SD card? No, we don't. But the rails, look at the rails. Pristine condition. Very, very good. Barely used. Maybe a little bit down here. This is interesting. So on the eBay listing, it states this was submerged in water. I've opened it up to take a look and cannot see any corrosion, but it does not power on. I wouldn't have just been so cocky with the 2 out of 2 statement if I had done a little bit of research beforehand. So if it's been submerged in water, how does the actual port look? Fine, to be honest. Yeah, not too bad at all. Can't see any water damage inside there or corrosion. Maybe right at the back a tiny bit. Looks like a snail has been inside the console. 2 for 2. I'm not going to use the ammeter because if this has had water damage, I don't want to potentially short out anything else. I'd rather just get inside, disconnect the battery and inspect the board. Seller says they can't see corrosion, so I wonder if it's on the other side of the board. Enough jibber jabber. Let's take it apart. Well, one thing is for certain. The water indicator, you know, the pink polka dot thing I was just talking about on the OLED, has been taken off. So where's that gone then? Doesn't look like we have any corrosion on the face of it. So deeper we go. From what I can see here, this is maybe where the water's come in from, which is the game card reader. All the ribbon cables and everything don't have any corrosion on, which is also good because worst case scenario, I can use this chassis for a future project because it's really, really nice. But our main focus at the moment is this board. My attention is drawn over to here. This isn't, by the looks of it, somebody having a look at this and just leaving it. As far as I'm concerned, this has had corrosion on and has been washed off. So you can see down here, look, we have little bits of corrosion left. So the sellers said that they've opened it, seen corrosion, closed it back up. I think they have definitely tried to give it a clean, maybe in like an ultrasonic cleaner, just to see if they can get it working. Just inspecting around the board to see if I can see any signs of fresh. Okay. Do we potentially have a bad EMMC here? Look at that rainbow that we have here. Someone looks like they've been prodding here as well. Look, can you see? Let's take the EMMC off. Yeah, so we definitely have some rust under it. What about the underside of the EMMC? Okay, all right. Well, I think we found where majority of that damage went. I personally think whoever sold this is more intelligent than what they're letting on and has done more to the board than what they've listed personally. I can't really see any corrosion on those balls under there, so I don't think the IC has been hit massively. No, it looks maybe a tiny bit. IPA and a little bit of canned air. Might need a reflow, but we'll see how we get on. As for this side, interesting. Probably have a few shorts here, I imagine. That corrosion might be bridging a few lines. What about on the actual connector? Because there must be, yeah, okay, so we can see here as well, we've got some liquid damage still. Let me give that a quick clean. Bit of IPA. Just down here inside the connector as well might be good to give a little clean. Looks better already. I wonder, what about the LCD connector? Even though the ribbon cable looked fine. Yeah, there's definitely some corrosion in there. You can see. It looks like, again, it looks like it's been cleaned up already though. Looks a tad better. This connector looks pretty clean. Again, the corrosion here around this cap. Definitely been through an ultrasonic cleaner, 100%. What about over here? Yeah, wow, okay. So that's the backlight driver there. And that cap still has corrosion on. Maybe, okay, maybe it hasn't been through. Oh, wow. And we have this little chip as well, which has a lot of rust around it. How does that one look at the top? That one at the top looks okay. It's just this one in the middle has quite a bit of rust. And this one down here has suffered some more damage as well. This one might be a little bit too far gone, but I am going to try and put a little bit of time into rescuing it. So I'm going to plug in my little port tester just to make sure we have everything okay with the charging port. Okay, yeah, charging port seems absolutely fine. All readings there are present. Lovely. I doubt then we'd have any shorts where we would expect to have shorts, but we can test CPU cap, see what we get. Okay, sweet. We don't have a CPU cap short. And then these caps are also okay. So I'm assuming M92 is fine. BQ with our little bit of mess down here. What are we reading? All right, BQ seems okay as well. So far, so good. Yeah, some things would suggest ultrasonic cleanup, others not so much, so I'm a little bit confused. Maybe they just got a toothbrush with some IPA, like I'm doing now. Is that a crack or is it a hair? It's a hair. Pretty safe to say, I think. My attention is going to be drawn here, replacing the diode, the cap, this little BGA chip, and that cap next to it as well, and this circuit. So let's do that quick, and then I'll put it back in the chassis and just see what happens. I'm just going to work here with a 450 degrees Celsius, 50% airflow. Just come in with our wick here. Clean the area up essentially. Lovely. This area here as well. Just as an FYI, that cap there might be functional, but because I'm working in the circuit, I'm just going to remove it. Okay, taking this chip and also this one. God knows what way they actually go, but I think they're the same size. Yeah, lovely. Look at that. A little bit of flux. Can't remember what chip is what, but I don't think it matters currently. Here we go. Something's telling me 0.2, I think. I have me some 0.2 millimeter balls. Question is, are they the one? You do look at, I think for the other IC, we could even get away with 0.3. Okay, yeah, I think I'm going to go 0.3 for the other ones. Yeah, 0.3 is perfect here. Okay, now I need to take them out of the jig very slowly and put them on the mat, because otherwise the jig acts as like a massive heatsink. We go all the way to 1%, 380 degrees Celsius. Lovely, that'll do for now. I'll come back to you in a second. Now you. Again, I think a little bit of flux would sort that out. There we go, wicked. Tiny bit of flux for this one. There we go. Quick clean for both. Now over to the original circuit. I'm just going to place a little bit of flux here. Do need to get a bit of leaded just on these pads. Way too much. There we go. Same up here. Alright, I think we're ready to rumble. Pretty sure this one goes here in that orientation. I will double check this before I continue, by the way. And then UA6 goes this way. Confirm with the donor, not the cleanest board, but yeah. And yeah. Airflow has gone down to 30%. Going to grab the tiniest bit of flux here and tack this down. Just like that. I hope it's tacked down anyway. Bit more flux. Just give it a nice bounce and jiggle into place. There it goes. There it bounces. Perfect. Whilst I'm here, quickly rebuild that circuit. And now finish it up with a tiny bit more flux around the area, and then we'll give it a nice clean after a quick float. Good. Everything is connected there as it should be. Chip looks a little bit marked, but I think that's from the actual other board as well. Hopefully it's okay. How do the actual balls look? Yeah, good. They're on their pads. Quick reflow. There it is. So my question is, how's this one looking? Yeah, good. All on the pads. BGAs look nice. Cool. Last but not least is a clean on the actual EMMC as well. IPA and a toothbrush. Look at that. Good as new. Actually doesn't look like there's been an ounce of corrosion on this. Again, on this one, I should really put a limit on how much I should change, how much time and effort I put into the device. But, moment of truth. Going to keep it nice and simple. Going to test it outside of the chassis. Because if I get greeted with 0.02, it's GG. What do we get? Here we go. A straight 0. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. What I'm looking for is like a 0.04 to 0.06 and then drop down to nothing. 0.02, 0.05, drop down. Okay, that's really good. Try the other side. 0.02, 0.05, drop down. Okay, all right. This is actually looking pretty promising. Perhaps because I didn't test with the ammeter, because I didn't want to make anything worse, maybe it just had no display and it was because of the corrosion around those little ICs. So the device was fully functional, but it just didn't output anything. All right, secondary moment of truth. In the chassis, do we get anything on the screen? We're looking for an image up here. If I do, I'll be very shocked and very happy at the same time. Let's go. Come on. Give me something. 0.35, good. 0.47, yes, come on. All right, turn on. Oh, the battery's already got some juice to it then. Yes, let's go. It turns on. and it displays, it outputs. It's taken 800 milliamps, which is a really, really strong draw. I'll be honest, I had little faith in this, but I think we may have pulled it out the bag. I'll need to obviously do some testing, but I'm super, super happy with that. Let me put it back together and I'll be back with you in a second. Just to confirm as well, the rust that was in this area here, I've done my best to get what I can off. I am also going to replace the game card reader because there's quite a bit of liquid damage on the back. Not that that really matters, but it's the stuff in here that I'm not going to be able to get to these pins, and they're quite heavily corroded. So this is just going to kill it over time, and I'd have a better peace of mind by just replacing the game card slot. I actually can't believe it. Everything seems to be working with this Switch. Like, both the Joy-Cons seem to be absolutely fine. I've triply checked things like games as well, just to make sure, and switched between them to make sure this is reading all good, which it is. So we have Immortals Phoenix Rising there. If I go to Mario Party, you can see it switches over, reads the game. Wi-Fi seems to be fine as well. Done it again? Didn't we on the potty again? Really? Well done. Respect. Daddy working, isn't he? What's Daddy doing? Everything with this Nintendo Switch works flawlessly. I've reset it so it's all ready to sell. Just super, super happy with it. And my grubby little fingerprints. I'm probably going to go with a slightly lower sell price and just state that it previously had water damage, so there's no guarantee it's going to be able to work for years and years to come. But we have temporarily saved it from landfill. 2 for 2 today. Let's see what Sally thinks about that. Oh, update as well. I have finally sold the gaming laptop from a few episodes ago. I bought it for $130. I've only just managed to sell it for £30 at auction. So I'll put that in the pricing as well. I did use a Switch OLED port, so I'm gonna say that's £1. I think they're around about 50p now, but we'll go £1 just in case. Total cost today for both consoles was $145. Sell price quite comfortably. I think I'll get $150 for the Switch OLED. And for this Switch, usually if it's in good condition as it is, I'd sell it for £100 to £110. But because of the water damage, I'm going to take £10 off, so I'll put it for $90, giving us a total sell price of $240. Oh, plus the $30 for the laptop, so $270, giving us a total gross profit of £99.70. Literally 30p off £100. Add here 99.70, bringing our total profit to £181.20. If you got to this point in the video, I thought it would be really cool if you could leave a comment down below which is targeted to anybody who stumbles across the video, old viewer or new viewer. And I just want it to be a positive message, because sometimes you go through down days, and when you're scrolling through the comment section on YouTube, it might actually be nice for once to see some positive vibes from a complete random stranger. Just a positive or motivational sort of comment. You might actually end up making someone's day. That being said, I'll leave last week's episode up here. Hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We're getting close to 50k. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.